What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Tony Reads. So in today's video, I am going to be giving some thriller recommendations. These are thriller books that I recently read and that I actually love. So all the books that I'm going to talk about and recommend are books that I'm pretty positive I've mentioned in other videos, like on a TBR or some kind of book haul or something. One of them I've had for a while, and the other two I kind of recently purchased. But anyway, let's go. So the first book, all these books were read in February. So this is kind of like a February wrap up also. So the first book is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. And I know I mentioned this one in one of my book hauls. I was very excited to get this book in my hands. As most of you may know, or if you're new to my channel, you might not know, my two favorite authors currently are Freida McFadden and Riley Sager. And they're actually, up until recently, were the only authors that I ever read books by. So that's pretty much all I knew, but you'll see later that I kind of stepped outside of the box, you know, at least for a minute. But anyway, this is The Only One Left, and this book was very different than what I thought it was going to be, but it actually was really, really good. And so what happened like way a long time ago, and this is not going to be spoilers, I'm not going to give anything away, I'm just going to tell you the summary and why I liked it so much. So a long time ago, there was a family, like this is back in the 1920s, a rich family or whatever. And the dad, the mom, and one of the two daughters were all murdered. And they were murdered by Lenora was the other daughter. And so there was like, you know, a little chant. Everybody knew about it. It was like a creepy little, what do you call that? Not just a tale or whatever, but you know, when they, a legend or something, I don't know, whatever you call it when you know, like Bloody Mary and that kind of stuff. And so the main character, her name is Kit. She is a caregiver for a living. That's her occupation. And she's kind of like down on her luck. Like she can't really find anything else. This is like a common theme in a lot of the books that I read by Freida McFadden and Riley Sager. There's somebody usually down on their luck, you know, somewhat poor or whatever, can't find another job. And they're always like some kind of caregiver or some kind of housemaid or something like that. But anyway, so I know if I ever write a book, a thriller, I probably need to use some kind of caregiver, housemaid in mind, because people seem to love that theme. But anyway, so she goes and she had something that happened. She was like a caregiver for somebody else, and they ended up dying in her care. And so she kind of has a bad reputation, but her boss took her back or whatever and gave her a new assignment, which is at Lenora's house, the creepy house on that mountain. And so Lenora comes from a very rich family. They live in this very secluded, I think this is part of New York or somewhere again on the East Coast or New England area or whatever. And all the rich people stay on top of these mountains or big old giant hills overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. And so she gets that assignment. She goes up there. She's a little bit creeped out or whatever because this Lenora person who's confined in a wheelchair and can't talk, can't really do anything. People are scared of her because obviously she's like, they think she's not a serial murderer, but a murderer, a killer, because they think that she killed her family, but she was never convicted of that. So that's why she's out, but she's in this wheelchair and stuff. Supposedly she had like a lot of strokes or whatever. And so Kit goes up there to work, and the people that they got working in the house are like weird. There's this Mrs. Baker. She's all snooty and everything has to be perfect and stuff. There's another person who I think maybe the cook or she's something, or the person that cleans the house, the mansion or something. Her name is Jessie. You know, there's other characters or whatever. But the bottom line is Lenora, the main character that supposedly had killed her family many years ago. She's now in her 70s. She tells Kit, or Kit figures out that she can type on an old-fashioned typewriter. This actually, the murders took place in the 20s, but this book takes place in the 80s. And so she has like a typewriter, and she somehow communicates to Kit that she wants to type over it and whatever. And then she starts sending her little messages and whatever. And she tells Kit that she wants to tell her the whole real story, and that's where it's like, you know, that's where the story kind of starts. You know, she wants to tell her what, quote unquote, really happened. And so it just goes on and on. Again, and Riley Sager's is very different from Freida McFadden. Riley Sager is more, if you like to hear or you like to read books where there's noises potentially a ghost, you know, a spirit, haunted houses, somebody seeing things and that kind, or you get up and the light is already on and you know you had turned it off, and just all this kind of stuff. If you like that, I find that a lot in Riley Sager's books, and this one is no exception. And so it is a thriller and it's not horror. So if you're type that's scary, and I'm not giving anything away, but I'm telling you, you won't freak out like you're watching some horror flick or whatever. There's always an explanation for the things, but that's just kind of like where he goes with it to kind of get you going and get you all freaked out, which is good because I like to be, I don't get scared of that stuff, but I like for a book to try to scare me because that's entertaining to me. But anyway, so I got kind of off key, but so like in this book, for example, like I'm just telling you this so you don't get scared if you read it or whatever, if this kind of stuff freaks you out. There is a Ouija board, Ouija, whatever you call it, the board that you, it's like a game or something where you use to talk to spirits, whatever. That's used in this story, but don't get hung up on that and think that this is like some kind of horror book or whatever, because it's not. It's still just a thriller, and that's just one small part, but I just wanted to let you guys know that. This book really is like a page turner. It's a little bit, let me see how many pages. It was like almost 400 pages, which is kind of more than what I normally like to read. But you know, I had paid money for it or whatever, and it sounded good, so I really wanted to read it. But the strange thing about it is, I usually say Riley Sager's books take me a very long time to read because he's like really super descriptive. Some people really love that. I don't need all that really. But his books always pay off, and this one did too, where all the descriptions and everything, he kind of says it like this is a big old creepy house, kind of get you kind of like feeling like you're there and you really can visualize it. Because the creepiness of the house is kind of part of the actual story. So you really need to kind of know what exactly it looks like. And it's just really old. It hasn't been renovated really or anything like that. And you just really have to kind of keep that in mind. But anyway, so this book, again, like I said, it's a page turner. You get into it, you immediately start wondering what happened. Of course, if Lenora's saying, I want to tell you the true story, that already kind of gets you going. Well, it got me going anyway. And it's like, okay, I want to know what really happened. Is she actually the one that killed her parents, or some kind of twist or whatever? There is, I'm not going to say if she is actually the one that killed her parents and her sister or not, but I will tell you there are many twists in this book. And Riley Sager doesn't get like real cheap about the twist. Some people just want to make it so twisty just to try to trick you or whatever. His everything, once you get through the end, you're like, oh man, you know, that actually makes sense or whatever. It's not like a corny plot twist. It's actually really good and it really makes sense. And like for me, like it's kind of a challenge for me to not be able to figure something out. I'm like, oh man, why didn't I think of that or whatever? Because again, this book, I could not figure out what it is that's actually going to happen. I just had to keep turning, reading and everything. But it definitely, like I said, it's longer than what I usually like, but it definitely kept my interest. So I highly recommend this book. It's pretty high up there. I stopped giving like star ratings or whatever. It's really, really good. And I do recommend it. I have said previously that Lock Every Door was actually my favorite book by Riley Sager, and I still hold to that. But this by Riley Sager actually is a close second. So you got to check this one out if you haven't already. Okay, the next book, I don't know how many times I'm going to talk about this book, how many times I'm going to bring it up in my videos. It's probably like this video is probably, or this book is probably mentioned in probably at least 5 of my videos or whatever. I'm always talking about it. I couldn't wait. It just came out. My favorite author, The Teacher by Freida McFadden. I did do a vlog where I was telling you guys about it. It was very hard for me to put this book down. I probably, if I really put my mind to it, I probably could have finished it in one day, and I normally don't ever, well, I've never done that before actually. Yeah. But it's so good. I will tell you, because people, I didn't know I was supposed to say this or whatever. I don't know. I'm giving you a trigger warning. There is what is called grooming in this book. And so I just want to let you guys know that, you know, just in case you decide you don't want to read it or whatever, or just so you're prepared for it. But anyway, so The Teacher, so you guys, I don't remember names, and I don't have my journal with me, so I'm just going to say I might have the names all mixed up and stuff. I really don't remember. I think the main character's name is Addie. And there's a couple that are both teachers at this high school. The husband teacher, I'll just call him, and wife teacher, because I cannot, let me see if I look back. Eve is the wife teacher, and her husband, I don't remember what his name is, and I don't feel like looking for it. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm back. Her husband's name is Nate. It was making me mad that I couldn't remember. So Eve is the wife teacher and Nate is the husband teacher. Supposedly, like the prior year before, all this ruckus had happened at the high school and Addie was involved in it. And whatever had happened, this nice teacher that used to work there was tutoring her, and she was found creeping around outside his house or something. And so they felt that that looked bad, like maybe there was something going on that shouldn't have. And so he ended up getting fired. He's like blackballed from teaching, you know, whatever. He's a drunk. He turns to a drunk now or whatever. You know, his life is totally messed up because of that incident. So for whatever reason, you know how it is, like on the movies and stuff, the victim, people get mad at them if it's like a teacher that they actually like. That's like a twisted thing to me, but that's just what happens. And so this girl, she stayed at that same high school. I don't know why she should have left and went somewhere else, but she went to that same high school. Nobody there likes her, like literally nobody. She has no friends or anything. The teachers seem like they don't even really like her. So it just so happens that she's going to end up in Eve's class for like math, like trigonometry or something. And so Eve, you know, is like, oh, no, I don't want this troublemaker in my class, whatever. Because that guy that ended up getting fired, that teacher from last year, that was Eve's really good teacher friend. And so this one, I can't even hardly explain it without like giving stuff away. But I'm telling you guys. I would say put down whatever book you have right now. Buy this one, put it on a freaking Kindle or whatever you have to do. Check it out. They have it at the library. Check it out. Whatever you need to do, just get this book. You guys, if you know me just a little bit, you know how I feel about Freida McFadden's book. She's only had one flop to my knowledge, and that was The X that I already talked about. This book, I mean, it had so many twists, and it kept twisting to like the very end, but it wasn't like corny stuff. It was like good stuff. I mean, I was literally wondering the whole time. And it wasn't like the kind of when you're sitting there wondering like, I just wish this book would hurry and be over so I can see who did it or something like that. It wasn't even like that. It was like, oh my gosh, you know, I gotta turn the page. Oh, next chapter. And she would end these chapters like on this crazy cliffhanger or whatever. I said that actually in my vlog. It's like, oh my gosh, and I gotta, you know I gotta go back to work or whatever, but I can't stop reading this. That's how I felt while I was reading this book. It was like crazy. This one up there in my rankings, you guys know how I love The Coworker. That's my first book I ever read. This is up there with that book. This book, oh my God, this book is fire. I'm telling you. I know everybody loves The Housemaid and stuff. Those are not, The Housemaid and The Housemaid Secret or whatever it's called. Those are not my favorite Freida McFadden books. I don't know why the big deal was made out of those. To me, this is way better than both The Housemaid books. I'm so serious. Plus, not to mention, me personally, I like books that are like in a school setting and also like office settings. So books like that kind of attract my attention. But in this book, there's like, I'll just tell you, there's all kinds of secrets, and everybody has some like secrets. Everybody does. So you've got to be like prepared for that. I mean, it's just like crazy. It's not, there is no boring part in this movie because everything that happens, it keeps you like, you know, what's going to happen next or whatever. Oh my gosh, I wonder what this is going to lead up to or whatever. And it just really kept my interest. So this is an excellent book. Highly, highly, highly recommend that you read this book. Okay, so last but not least, the next book, this is the one I said that I stepped outside my comfort zone. I've only been reading Freida McFadden, Riley Sager. Freida McFadden, Riley Sager. Stepped out. This is a book I bought actually a while ago. Honestly, I don't even know why I bought it. I can't even remember. And this is The Couple Next Door by Sherry Lapina. I think that's what how her name is pronounced. And it says it all started at the dinner party, and it did all start at the dinner party. This book is crazy. Now, I will tell you, this book actually was very, very different than what I'm used to reading. Because when you get used to an author or two authors, in my case, I know their style and everything. This person, Sherry, she writes in a totally different style. It's like she's, I get maybe it's called like she's narrating or something. It's really different what I'm used to, but I actually kind of like it. This book, so how it starts off and takes place, there's two couples that live right next door to each other, and they're like, I don't know what kind of building it is. It's not an apartment, but it's like houses stuck together. And I think they live in New York or something. I'm not used to that kind of living or whatever, but it's just like two houses stuck together. And so they're like friends or whatever. And the couple, so the main couple is Anne and Marco. They went over next door to Cynthia and Graham's house, their friends, just for a little dinner party at night. They have a baby. They have a 6-month-old daughter named Cora. The babysitter couldn't make it that night for whatever reason, and I'm not giving the book away or anything like that. This is just how it all started. And so they decided that it was a stupid idea, but they decided to leave the baby over at their place, you know, and then they would swap off and check every half hour to make sure the baby was fine. So that's where it starts, or that, whatever. So all I'll say is that night at the dinner party, the first night of the whole book, a crime is committed. And this book has you literally pointing the finger at everybody. You will not be able to figure out, you know, somebody's guilty, and you know it's not just going to be some boring plot that you can figure out easily. It really has you guessing the whole time. I thought I had it. I was wrong every single time. And even if you're a little bit right, you'll never be all the way right. So after this crime is committed, all kinds of secrets about everybody are starting to unfold. And everybody's thinking the other one kind of did it. The other one's guilty or whatever. Now, I will say, like, unlike the other books that I've read in the previously, this book is like really, I don't know, still this would be considered like a crime thriller. But the whole time, like, there's a detective Rasbach or whatever his name is. He's pretty much in the book the whole time because after this crime is committed. And it's like a lot of interrogation from a detective, a lot of coming in for questioning, a lot of looking for clues and that kind of stuff in this book. And so if you're really into that, I highly recommend this book. This book was really good. It's also another page turner. It's just because I knew something crazy was going to happen at the end, but I just could not figure it out. And that's good because you don't want to read a book where you know exactly what the twist is going to be, or else it's not really a twist as far as I'm concerned. But like, seriously, the secrets that were kept in this, and actually, I mean, there's one part when something was revealed, you guys, I mean, I was just like, oh my gosh. And I don't even know if any books I've ever been like that and so surprised at what actually happened. And so I'm just telling you, you'll go back and forth. You'll think one person is guilty, and then a couple chapters later, you're like, that person's totally written off. And it's like, no, it's no way this is that person. And then you can think another person, and then a couple chapters later, that person, you know, it can't be them. And just all this craziness throughout the whole book. And it is good up literally through the last page. I mean, like, literally on the last page, the last few sentences, something really crazy happens. So I'm just gonna tell you that. Of course, I'm not gonna tell you what it is, or whatever. You just really need to check this book out, especially like if you're into all that crime and cops and a detective investigating and asking all these questions and stuff. This would be a really good book for you. I see that I like the crime kind of stuff, so I kind of will buy other books, you know, with that kind of theme going forward. But yeah, this I like this author. I like the way she writes, and I will be checking out other books from her. Actually, there's one called Not a Happy Family. I think that might be her newest book, and she has other books too as well. But anyway, yeah, so these are the books that I just read in February. Those are I'm telling you guys right now, I'm reading The Silent Patient. I just am starting it today. So hopefully I'll have a review or some kind of information on that going forward. That was recommended by my subscribers, so thank you very much. I don't remember if any of these books were recommended. I think the only one left might have been recommended. Everybody knew I was going to get the teacher anyway. So they didn't even need to recommend it. But yeah, so again, if you like this video, thumbs up. Of course, as always, I don't buy every single thing because I look first when something's recommended to me, and then I see if it's something that I think I'll actually like. But I do take down what everybody says and then do my own research. So I want to know more thriller authors, and I want to know more thriller books. And just to give you guys a little clue about me, you probably already know this anyway, I like shorter reads. So I actually, if there's some books that's like under 300 pages, shoot those my way. And definitely not anything over 400 pages. I just can't do that. I wouldn't be able to stick with the book. I don't like long movies either, no matter how good they are. So yeah, like 300-ish, up to 400, but not over 400, but preferably like under 300, which I have yet to read a book that's under 300 pages. Maybe they don't even exist. I don't know. But anyway, again, if you're not already subscribed to my video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and notification button so you'll be notified every time I upload a new one. And I'll see you in the next video.